From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's AMN Drive Time, brought to you by Aishin.
AMN Drive Time is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
Pete, welcome to AMN Drive
so
Time,
much.
sponsored by our great friends at Aishin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to have you at our intergalactic headquarters in Akron, Ohio today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Pete, we had your dad, Vange, as a guest on Drive Time a few years ago. And in 2023, AP was acquired by Marmon, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company, which of course you know all about. Tell us about before you guys sold, what was your role at AP? What was your career there?
Of course.
Walk us through that for the benefit of the AMN audience.
Yeah, of course. So how it all started was I finished high school, I went to college.
Yep.
And then right after college, I went to law school. And at law school, it took me about 3 months to decide I'm not reading for the rest of my life. So I quit. And when I quit, my dad said, here's what you have to do. Go get a broom and you're in the distribution center until I tell you to get out of there. So that's really how it started. And then when I was 22, I worked from the distribution center up through the ranks and tried every department and spent a year and a half through every single department and finally landed on sales.
Got it.
That's where I really loved it. And so I grew from a district sales guy to a divisional sales guy, and then a divisional sales guy to almost a director role where I was working with Jamie Farina for the most part, day in and day out.
Yep.
At AP, who you know Jamie Farina very well.
Know him well. He's been a Drive Time guest.
Yeah, I've been trained by Tony Delgazzo, Jamie Farina, some Dan Billy as well. I mean, it's been a gamut of people that have created this, whatever this is.
And do you have an active role in the business today?
No active role. I've taken all of my tools and war chest and moved it to another facet of my life.
And we're going to talk about that today.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So your personal story, or, you know, that's your professional story, but your personal story as it relates to how it fostered the creation of your foundation in support of cystic fibrosis. Mm-hmm. I know that's getting a lot of your attention.
Right.
Walk us through why this, how you got started, sure, what you're doing.
I'll tell you a funny story about how all of this really started. I was 22 years old and I was at the Apex show in Las Vegas. And I was brand new to the industry. I was young and I really didn't know how to start, where to start. And I just kind of watched everybody. And one person that at that time, that specific year, John Washbish everyone wanted to talk to him for some reason. Something was happening. And I mean, he's always in something, but.
Sort of every year with
yeah,
John,
every year.
It?
But I mean, people were flocking to him and I thought, I don't know who he is. Vange knew who he was, obviously, but I had no idea. So what I did was I put my hands in my pocket and I walked over to whatever booth he was at. And I thought, I'll just introduce myself. What's the worst that could happen? So sure enough, 22 years old, I'm walking in and I see him and he picks his head up, doesn't know who I am. We've never met before. And he goes, well, what the hell do you want? And I immediately panic. I stop, my hands are in my pocket, and I know that Vange always says, people that are useless keep their hands in their pocket. They're never of use to anybody. So all of a sudden, I feel someone behind me scream, what am I looking at? What are you looking at? Tony Delgazzo was screaming at John Washbish from behind me. I could feel his breath on my neck. He was so close. And he grabbed me, he put his arm around me. We walked over there and John said, you know, who's this guy? And Delgazzo, obviously being the guy he is, he just said his name's Pete. He can introduce himself, but he's new to the industry and we're breaking him in. And John said, stay in this industry. Everyone will take care of you. Just give it everything you can, and they'll give you everything back. And I think that this industry isn't aware or forgets how important the youth of the industry is coming up, and what a conversation like that from someone like him means to the overall development of me as a person. I mean, my entire trajectory changed after that. It was, I'm just going to give it everything I can. At that moment, he didn't know I was related to Vange, but later he found out, which was, all in itself a different story completely. But this industry is definitely one that raised me, made me who I am. I'm wildly grateful for it. And I've always taken that idea of family and relationships and putting people together in the right position, in the right place, and just pushing forward in a way that we all feel like one big group. And I've taken that into sales with me. I've taken it into my relationships with my family. And of course, this new foundation or this new chapter I'm dealing with, I've taken that as well.
Pete, I can't tell you the number of people. I'm 63. I've been in this business. It'll be 40th year this year. And I can't tell you the number of people that always say this industry is all about the people. Mm-hmm. It's just a universal thing. There's just great people in this industry. And I've also learned over the years, the bigger the big shot, the less they act like it.
Right.
And John Washbush is a great example.
Absolutely.
He's a big shot, doesn't act like it.
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
So, Pete, tell us about the purpose of your foundation.
Of course. Cystic fibrosis is a genetically inherited disease. It uses two recessive traits by both parents, and it creates cystic fibrosis.
I've all heard of it. So you are born with cystic.
I was born.
People are born with cystic fibrosis.
I was born, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a genetic disease. I was born with it.
Okay.
I was diagnosed at 5 months.
Okay.
And I spent essentially 40 years of my life hiding it from everyone, the industry, high school, college, just trying to feel as normal as possible for as long as possible. This is it's always been known as a child-killing disease. Life expectancy was about 18, 19 years old. And over the course of the last 2 decades, really, advancements have provided opportunities where people are getting older and life expectancy is increasing, either due to therapies, medications, overall support for mental health, and we have the CF Foundation to thank for that. The real issue is that if you were born between 1975 and 1990, the life expectancy kept changing. So you'd be 19 years old, trying to make it to 25. A new therapy would come out when you're 21 and say, okay, you can make it to 28 or 30. And we're always waiting for the next therapy to come through. But what happens is you can't really create a future for yourself. And that's really, really hard. And you really have this weird situation where as we're getting older, we don't go to college because never thought we had a future.
Sure.
We don't date, try not to.
Sure.
Because there's no point in putting someone through that.
Sure.
But as advancements and as the younger people have gotten older, now we need to create these opportunities for them where it's uncharted territory. And how do we get someone who is 26 years old, now off of their parents' health insurance, to take these new medications that get them off of disability? So now they have to get a job with no college, without a college education, without sometimes a high school education, because they've been so sick, they have to go back and get their GED. So we're creating those hardship opportunities where we can say, you're allowed to dream again, you're allowed to try, you can fail, we'll be here to support you. And all of the things that I said about the industry and the way Vange and my mom, Anna, have raised me is make sure that you create a relationship and you leave someone better than you found them.
So what are the side effects of this? How does it present itself, this cystic fibrosis?
So most people, there's two real problems with CF. That is, there's a lung issue, and then there's a pancreatic sufficiency and insufficiency issue. Okay. So your pancreas absorbs fat-soluble vitamins, which helps you gain weight and stay healthy. Your lungs, obviously, they make you breathe. So what happens is any sodium chloride channel that moves fluid from organ to organ, so that could be your liver, your lungs, your throat to your stomach, it really depends on how much fluid is transferring between. But we have a chronic condition where all of those sodium chloride channels get plugged up and mucus gets really thick and sticky and heavy. And if you get an infection in your lungs and the mucus sits on top, you can't clear it. So you get these bronchial infections that really take you out. And the things that can dissolve mucus also dissolve organs and tissue. So you can't really take that stuff either. So you really need to find therapies to cough up all of these bad bugs that are sitting at the bottom of your lungs. Pancreatic insufficiencies, I was born pancreatic sufficient, so I can gain weight and I can stay fairly healthy. But CF is internal. I mean, it's an internal fire at all times that you're trying to put out. And although I look normal and I walk normal and talk normally, it's still, there's pain and there's fluid and there's really just so many things going on inside of the body that don't present themselves externally.
Sure. So you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Every day.
I think, you're feeling it every day.
And what medicine, do you take medicine every day?
Right. So I'm pancreatic sufficient, which means I can gain weight. I look normal. I feel like I can handle an infection if it comes to me. Okay. But everything before 2019, before the introduction of Trikafta, which is a new oral drug that tricks that sodium chloride channel into thinking that the body doesn't need to hold on to that much salt. So it thins out the fluid, and then the fluid can help you cough up all the mucus. That's where it's been life-changing. But the life expectancy has gone from 40 to 65. That's absolutely incredible, but what happens, right? As any lever that gets hit, other ones go off. And now we have this patient set of 40,000 people, adults with CF in the country, where you now have to figure out how you're going to make them adults in society. And there is a real problem with the system currently that once you're off your parents' health insurance at 26, you don't know, do I take the medication to be healthier and remove all the mucus from my lungs with this pill, get off of disability, and then get a job, hopefully, that's essentially an hourly job that I can hold?
Right.
Or do I stop taking the medication, get on disability, and suffer through whatever's left, whatever time is left? And we're trying to mind that gap. We're trying to stop people from making that decision in the negative way.
Sure.
And saying, okay, you need to find a job. We have a career assistance program. Right. We have resume building. We have attorneys on staff that can help you with employment contracts if something does happen. We hardship assistance. 17% of all of our dollar requests are for meal insecurities. Wow. People are still starving, and it's devastating. If you can afford a $200 dinner, you can afford to keep someone fed for one full month.
Sure. Through
our foundation.
So are there any particular medical centers or centers of influence for CF, or is it pretty good in terms of the care all over the country?
All over the country. There's about 40,000 adults with CF in the patient registry today. That number will obviously get bigger because as the patient sets of the children's hospitals grow into adulthood, 18 is the cutoff. So at 18 years old, you become adult clinic. So the number's going to go up.
Yep.
And hopefully health insurance will catch up and everyone else will catch up in the system in the process. But the centers have been a very niche player all over the country in working together in providing all of this healthcare, because the advancements are coming so rapidly that there's a lot of buzz and there's a lot of positive momentum included with it. So because of that, all the doctors are working super closely together, taking all of their strengths, mimicking them with one another, and then trying to fix the weaknesses. So is there a center? There are some bigger than others, and one we've partnered with, which is UNC in North Carolina. It's probably one of the biggest, if not biggest, pulmonary clinics in the country. But that is what we're doing. We're trying to take our foundation and push it to other hospitals to get the exposure and the footprint we need to help everybody.
So I'm hoping your kids don't have this.
Right. So the way that you can eliminate the CF gene, regardless of having parents with 2 recessive traits, that's a 1 in 4 chance to naturally create children. So what happens is I have 4 siblings. There's 4 of us.
Yes.
I have CF. My brother, my sister, and my youngest brother do not. It's just a 1 in 4. We're textbook what happens when 2 parents have recessive traits. Right. Through IVF, you can actually eliminate the CF gene altogether with 1 parent or both, and you can test them, and then you're born without CF.
Wow.
Our foundation actually supports fertility today. So we actually will get the system in place where, let's say I have CF, my wife doesn't. We'll do the genetic testing. The foundation, we will provide support to pay for genetic testing for the spouse that doesn't have CF to see if they're a carrier. If they're not a carrier, they go on with their day because you have to have 2 recessive traits. Yeah. If they are a carrier, our foundation will actually put you through with a reproductive urologist specific to CF, do a sperm retrieval, and then create and start the entire IVF process for the spouse, all in one house.
Oh, fantastic.
And we will support half, if not all of it, depending on the patients.
So, Pete, you've got an upcoming Gala event.
Yes.
Where, when, and how can the aftermarket be helpful and additive to you guys?
So the event is May 16th of this year in Raleigh, North Carolina. We sold out in 10 days. We sold 300 tickets in 10 days, and we just can't believe it. It was the most incredible feeling in the world.
Is this your first Gala event?
Yeah, first one.
Oh, fantastic.
First one, yeah. And I essentially, because I am healthier, I do have this survivor's guilt of sorts. So I have this really bad habit of moving goalposts. So even though I did sell out the event, it's like, what's the next thing? It's almost like I need to keep proving to all these patients that I belong with them because I hid it for so long. So
sure.
There's some of that as well. But what the aftermarket can do is this aftermarket has raised me. So I don't really know, other than me saying thank you, I don't really know what else to ask for. I mean, the way that I carry the foundation today and the way my dad raised me in the industry really is a culmination of who this foundation is now. I mean, I've adapted and adopted every single piece of what the automotive aftermarket taught me, including don't give up, create a relationship, hold on to it. What better gift than that? I mean, you guys gave me everything. Right. And I'm trying to now give it back now that I'm not in the industry today, every day. I'm trying to give it back in some way. And what better way than giving it back to my own chronic diseased people?
And what will happen at the Gala event? Is it a black tie event? Is this a Saturday night? Is there music? Are the Rolling Stones going to play?
You got it. Yeah, it's a party. It's a party.
Good.
It's there's a live auction. There's going to be a lot of people there that have supported or will support through partnerships, sponsorships. Some friends that create a safe space for me that have been absolutely instrumental in keeping me from getting the burnout that people talk about. But the event itself is May 16th. We're raising money for both hardship support and fertility support for cystic fibrosis patients. Every dollar raised is a dollar that goes straight towards those patients for every $2,000, so we have data points. Those data points are $2,000 can get one CF patient full hardship support for an entire year. That's our data points. For every $2,000 that we raise, we help one more person at one more hospital out across the country to increase our footprint. We're just trying to spread awareness. The dollars are great, and we're super grateful for any sort of donations. But the big thing is, how can we reach out and maybe find a sponsor of sorts that's willing to partner with us and create this opportunity where we can get more exposure and more awareness and turn that one little snowflake into a big snowball and really get momentum and create this thing for the children that are now going to become adults.
Yeah, I like the easy math about $2,000. Well, right? It's easy to understand as a donor, hey, this is what you give and this is what they're going to get. Sometimes it's not as crystal clear in that in the nonprofit world, right?
You got it.
So that's good to know.
Thank you.
So Pete, if you've seen Drive Times, you know we do something we call a lightning round.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
And you're going to give me a quick answer.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's some of the best advice you have received? And I'm going to see you already shared a little bit. It's probably coming from the best one. Of your dad.
My dad said, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak.
That's good counsel, right?
Yeah. He's actually, he's told me that a couple times. So,
favorite place for a family vacation? You and your wife and the 3 kids. You have a favorite place or places?
Palm Springs, California. My favorite place. Dry, it's hot, it's a pool. I keep them all on top of me.
Oh, so you like that dry?
I love
you like dry and hot.
I love dry heat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for your lungs.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, you travel a lot. You've been in the aftermarket. I know you've had a lot of fancy dinners. You like a fancy dinner out in Vegas, or you like a home-cooked meal at home?
Well, Vegas literally destroys my soul every time I go. It takes me like 4.5 weeks to recover, which I think it takes everyone about that long.
It does.
But my favorite place, the best meal I ever had was in Detroit, Michigan. I was snowed in with my dad. It was some steakhouse that was down the street. We were snowed in for days. And we ate at this specific steakhouse. And it was just me and him and the chef that got snowed in.
Oh, fantastic.
There was one server that walked back, and we had about a 3-hour dinner. And that was the best meal. I don't even know the name of the restaurant, but that was the best meal I've ever had.
What a great story. You a stick shift guy or automatic guy?
Automatic.
Automatic?
I'm a millennial. It's the easiest thing.
All right. You a pickup truck guy?
Pickup truck, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that. You just kind of feel like a pickup truck guy.
I bought a farm, so I have a pickup truck.
Wow, you bought the farm.
Yeah, I bought the farm.
Ford, GM, Chrysler?
Ford. Yeah, I'm a Ford guy.
F-150 or 250?
Yeah, Ford Raptor.
All right, okay. Last question.
Uh-huh.
Childhood hero or heroes?
Oh, man. I mean, do I say my dad? I mean,
Sure.
Do I say it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he immigrated here, didn't speak any English, started working, and never stopped. And people don't get that lucky. People immigrate here, they work, they never stop, and they have nothing to show for it. So, what better hero than someone that created everything?
Pete, great to have you on
Thank you so
AMN
much.
Drive Time,
Thank you.
sponsored by Aishan.
Thank you so much.